Hello, this is Futurist Gerd Leonhard showing a pre-recorded slideshow presentation on the topic of technology, humanity, and the future. This is just for clients, an example of how this could work when we're doing a pre-recorded presentation with just audio and no live video feed, but you can play this as a standalone file. So as an example, the animations that you see here are usually pretty well seen on the computer as well. But when you do a pre-recorded version, this is much more stable than a live video version, and you can see all the animations coming through and so on. So, for example, this talking about the mega shifts, one of my key topics from the book and megashifts.com, about all the stuff that goes on around us in society, not just digitization, but also robotization and datafication. I'll talk more in detail about that sort of stuff usually. And then you see all the animations that I have here, like the algorithms and the algorithms from my book. The two things that are shaping our future, machines, technology, and then humanity, what I call the androrhythms. Usually a very good example to talk about and what that means. And here we can see, for example, the future in a nutshell. We still have the same cards that we've always had: morals, values, ethics. But the computer has increasingly more cards. Technology is huge, and we have to invest as much in humanity as we do in technology. Then I like to use these kind of build-ups, talking about the game changers in society, intelligent data, AI, robotics, the Internet of Things, and of course, very importantly, lastly, human genome editing. These are the four things that are really impacting humanity in the future. Very good example for how this topic can be tackled from a really visual point of view. In this slide, I use the kind of build-ups from my slide library, talking about how the future is really different than the present. It's actually completely different because the circumstances are different, and the entire background is different. For example, this convergence of man and machine, humans and machines, of course, where we can see quite clearly that's already happening with smartphones. And then the question really is, how far do we want to go with this? Would this really be our future, is to be completely digitized, to end up looking like this? And usually, by the way, these slides, of course, a little bit slower and more paced towards the general audience. But this kind of shows the key challenge, as technology becomes fundamentally exponential and will go beyond even our comprehension. Will machines have infinite power, and what do we do? Because we are still linear as humans, and a major challenge there. And mission control for humanity. The question is, who's going to control this kind of technology? And what will happen in the future when we don't really have somebody in charge, or some large global organization in charge of these key issues like AI and genetic engineering, and then we may have this arms race of artificial intelligence where everything is becoming smart, but our ethics and our morals are still the same that were 100 years ago. So this is a key issue, a key challenge to humanity. I think we have to think about how that we regulate this between the Russians and the Chinese and the Americans, of course. Europe has a difficult path there. And then one of the key issues, defining what AI actually is, and this is a short slide of this, machines being able to understand us. The ultimate search engine would understand everything, as Larry Page of Google is saying. And then the question is, how would we deal with this once that's the point, who controls all that stuff? And I think this market will not regulate without some substantial incentives and purchases, which is usually regulation, fines, antitrust, and all the things that we're seeing from the European Commission. Very tough topic, but something to be worth to discuss, because in the end, who do we trust with our technology scanning ourselves, making ourselves available to the global public, having digital copies made from us? Technology has no ethics, one of my key themes. And what is ethics? The difference between having a right, the power to do, and what is the right thing to do, also a key thing. When you think about how that it's being applied to business, very, very powerful statement. I think that bears discussion. And what we are as humans, are we just organisms, are algorithms, as some people have said in the past? I don't quite think so. I think this is the question is, how computable are we, our lives, and how much do we believe in data? There's a great saying that I heard recently quite a few times: if you torture data long enough, it will confess to anything. And clearly this is something where we have to talk about what that means for businesses and where we're going with this. As AI is moving to the cloud, how much do we believe that is true? how much will it influence our daily life? Is it going to be reductionism or abdication, manipulation, and how do we prevent this? I mean, this is obviously a huge topic. And as I like to say, basically, exponential technologies are hell then. They're heaven and hell. And we define this future today, and it's very important that we keep it at least 90% heaven, which currently I think we're not too far away from this, but the possibility exists that it may be 50-50, which is a very bad idea in my view. Human-to-human interaction becomes more valuable in this world, not less. The challenge of machines taken over, I think that challenge exists, not in the next 20 years, I don't think, but right now the challenge is that we become too much like machines, that we think that everything is an algorithm. We don't value human processes and relationships. And so happiness is not an algorithm, and humans aren't code, key topic. In my conversations, I think we need a digital ethics council to balance this, find the right balance between technology and humanity. That is truly essential to see how we're going to collaborate or if we're going to compete, because technology is not good or bad, it just exists. And, the final thing I like to use in my slides a lot is my key saying, also used in many ways now: embrace technology, but don't become it. That is the path I'm suggesting for the future. So this kind of concludes the example of how I would do a pre-recorded slide show. This is pre-recorded without video. Video can be added, I think, but by and large, this is the format I would suggest. Thanks very much for tuning in. Bye.